being defiant, and learning a new skill. Now, I want to start this video by saying, in no way do I claim to be an expert on autism. I am an autistic individual, and these are my personal points of view, and if you relate, that's excellent. If you don't, fine too. I just make these videos in the hopes that it just connects with people and that they can see different perspectives. I don't want anybody to think that I have some kind of training or whatever. It's just, again, based on my own personal experience. So in terms of being defiant, I sometimes struggle with authority figures. Now, that's not to say that it's something that I do intentionally. It's just that I am a particularly inquisitive person, and sometimes the way people talk to me or direct their feedback to me can sometimes be misconstrued as incredibly negative or judgmental, and I react accordingly. So sometimes I will shut down, sometimes I will become somewhat nonverbal and I'm not really able to talk to that person. In other ways, sometimes I find that people try to micromanage me, and a lot of the time that's from the fact that their description of their, the description of their job or what authority they have hasn't been laid out to me in a very direct manner. So I kind of like to know what their job description is and what authority they have over me, so that I can properly process in my mind kind of what they're trying to tell me to do, without kind of seeming like I don't want to do it. Because I don't want people to think that I don't want to do certain things. Most of the time I'm fine doing it. I just might need my instructions repeated or directed differently. But honestly, that's just how I learn. I learn my own way. Speaking of which, so learning a new skill, I am a very visual learner. I'm also somebody that needs to get their hands kind of into it. I need to experience it. So being a barista, a lot of the time I'm on cash, which I really appreciate, because one of my positions, I didn't have the authority to be on cash due to a misunderstanding of my sensory input. But now I'm able to handle cash, do orders, and sometimes I'm on bar. And I still struggle with that sometimes. I will constantly have questions. I have to remember how many pumps, the steaming method. I'm not the best at making cappuccinos yet. So it's something I'm working on. But in terms of learning a new skill, I have recently taken up sewing. So I've been making things like little purses. This one I have to fix a little bit, that I have made without a pattern and kind of been teaching myself. So for this, it's actually artist canvas that I took some masking tape to and mixed up my own colors mostly with a textile medium that you then heat set once it's dry so that it is completely permanent. So I did this, and then I made my own little fabric pieces that I folded over a few times and used a pretty interesting decorative stitch. And then these are just key rings. So that's one that I did. It doesn't have a lining. And then I did this other one. Similar design. I used a stencil, and I really like the imperfections of this. It also has some metallics. And then inside it's folding line, and there's a pocket on either side. And this I also used a fusible on the back of the canvas, which is basically this kind of light fabric that has glue dots on one side, and then you heat set it underneath to make your fabrics differ. So there's some things I do need to work on this. Kind of the way that turns down in the corner. But people say zippers are the hardest. I've been finding them the easiest. And learning a new skill is really interesting to me, because in high school I did take sewing. But the thing is, it wasn't really beginner sewing, so my first project was making a hoodie, and it turned out okay, but it wasn't wearable. It was something I wasn't happy with, And I found that the chatter and the noise of everybody else around me doing their sewing and being much more advanced really put the pressure on me and didn't make it easy for me to focus. And at the time, I didn't know that I was autistic. Now that I know, it makes perfect sense for me that I got my own sewing machine. I've been trying to get most of my materials secondhand. I haven't been able to get all of them. Some I've got from my mom, some I got my canvas from my art supply store. But I used the inside of this fabric here was placemats that I got from a thrift store. So combining my love for art, my love for thrifting, and now learning how to sew, it's kind of coming full circle for me, and it's a really rewarding thing to learn. I've also been watching a lot of YouTube videos, consulting with my mom over FaceTime, and even took my sewing machine over to her place. And it's really nice to be able to connect with my mom in that way, and to be able to kind of express myself in a new and exciting way. And this way, I don't have to be concerned about an instructor and feeling frustrated, because sometimes when I am being taught stuff, it does, sometimes I get a little bit defiant. Sometimes I get frustrated, and out of my frustration can come that defiance. And it's not necessarily something I'm trying to do, but I find doing things at my own pace, I learn a little bit later in life certain things, but the reward to see a finished product and to keep doing something and learning and improving upon that is just an amazing feeling. It is, again, so incredibly rewarding. And I hope that if you take up a new skill, don't be totally discouraged. Find the way that works for you the best. Find the way that you can learn that is the most beneficial to you, because we all learn so differently that you just have to figure it out. And I hope that you've enjoyed my video. I know it's been a while. I hope you have a chance to check out my other videos, my website, navigatingjourney.com. I'm at artfulretro on Twitter, facebook.com/retrophiliac. Contact me. Let's get in touch. I really look forward to your feedback, and thank you so much for watching my video.